Today I'm here with Dan Perlman. Dan is known for his stand-up comedy. He's a writer, director, the co-creator, and star of Flatbush Misdemeanors Showtime show, which we had the opportunity to work together, and most recently Being Buble on YouTube. Being Buble has been accepted into the Manchester Film Festival, Santa Fe International Film Festival, and is a part of the official selection of the New York Comedy Film Festival, and so much more, which is so exciting. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Jada. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, it's so good to see you. So you have so much going on, between being a comic and writing and directing and producing all these things. Like you have so many things have gone right for you. What's a moment in your career that something didn't work out in the way that you had hoped and like that it shaped into something better?
Um, it's funny, it's funny hearing you say that like outside perception, because when I think of like a moment where something didn't go right, I'm like, those are most of the moments. Do you know what I mean? We just see on the outside the successes, but as you know, and any creative person knows who's had any kind of success, it's like many
Like
rejections in between
that.
that one success. Right. And honestly, that kind of like that drives me nuts. I think sometimes when people with success talk about their path as if it was like linear, or as if it was like, or as if it was a time of struggle, 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 and then you made it. When it's like with everybody, there's like peaks and valleys, and there's times in between. You look at people's IMDb, there's times in between the work, and
Yeah.
um, so yeah, I mean, there's plenty of times that, you know, all those things. Flatbush started as a web series that, threw it online, nobody saw it, nobody cared, like sent it to film festivals. It didn't get into a bunch of them, but it got into some, uh and then, post Flatbush, it's like other stuff, I'm still developing it, and hopefully some of that we can see on TV someday, but who knows? And then Buble, it's a film I loved making it. It's so fun. It's got into a bunch of film festivals, and plenty of, you know, said no, and that's fine too. So it's all kind of like the rejections go hand in hand. But I think one thing I feel very, and I think stand up has helped with this. Um, because you fail all the time in stand up. Like
Mhm.
you start out by people staring at you in a basement, and they're like, "We hate you." You know what I mean? And so there's
Yeah.
no there's no deluding yourself. There's no, oh, maybe nobody even saw my self tape, or maybe it was just they wanted somebody taller. It's just
Like
like,
you're in
no, we
front of
hate.
them right there.
They're like, we hate you, we hate what you're saying, and we're gonna hate it because we like the person before you and we'll like the person after you. So it's in
Yeah.
us to have joy. But
Hmm.
I do think if you stay standing, that it makes all the other types of failure like easier.
Yeah.
So I think I've gotten good at not dwelling on any of those rejections, and also using that to like, okay, well, how do I, is this an idea I really care about? Or how do I like continue to hone it? Or how do I continue to prove it and like make it better?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a big, does that kind of answer it? I said a bunch of
Yes,
words,
it
but
does.
yeah.
That was perfect.
Okay.
That's so also motivating hearing that, because like it's true, it's not linear. And I mean, like I had said, like I worked with Flatbush on you. I didn't know it started out as a web series, and then I didn't know
Hmm.
that you had taken it to festivals. And like to see the success that that had being on a network is crazy. And like the set was beautiful, and you had this whole crew there, and like it was just to know now that it started off as a web series that you said that nobody saw to all the way to network is so like it brings me hope. It brings me hope
Hmm.
in the industry in the world. So
Yeah. Go
yeah.
ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, now, like, from the start of your career to now, like, is there anything like that you would do differently that you do differently now compared to when you started when it comes to taking on new projects or just even creating projects yourself?
Um, I definitely, well, it's weird. The thing that's, I feel like I've always been fairly similar in terms of like being pretty disciplined and regimented with like how I work. I think I've just gotten better at like locking into that and
Mhm.
leaning into that, like leaning into my routine and leaning into my um also the more projects you do, the more confident you are that you can do it again. And in the times when it's if it's a bad first draft that you're like, oh, I want to make this better or something, you've had confidence that you've done it before and can do it again. So stuff like that. But I think, yeah, I mean, I think the biggest, it feels really like just kind of reminding myself of just like pursuing the things that are fun for me, that seem fun, and and just trying to like build out of that because it's all hard. Like it's all really hard. And I think over time gotten I've gotten much better at not focusing on the external, the sort of the noisy kind of benchmarks of success that you're like, oh, people are getting this thing or that thing, so I should want to get that. When it's like the only things that opportunities that I feel like have done anything for me career-wise or even like creatively fulfilling wise have been like, this is a thing that means a lot to me that I created and I um brought to life in a way. And it's all really hard, but that's a thing I can control. Leaning into the stuff that I can control, I think is the short answer to that question. I think that's
Yeah.
really helpful because there's always going to be stuff that's out of our control, and that's incredibly stressful and scary. And so the more we can just be like, okay, but either way, I'm gonna. That's how Flatbush started. Was I'd made a pilot before Flatbush. I did a
Mhm.
pilot for Fox. It was an animated pilot,
Ooh.
and it didn't go to series. And the thing when it doesn't go to series is nobody gets to see the thing. And so I was just like, Flatbush was originally just like, okay, even if 50 people see this, it'll exist and
Mhm.
it'll live and be a thing. And I've followed that. I've continued to make short films that, 1,000 people have seen and Buble was just like for fun. But I'm like, if I follow that fun and excitement, then I can build from that, from this place of like, oh, this is a thing that I really believe in, and I
Yeah.
will have it. So I think just always leaning into that.
Yeah. And is there like an experience going through your career that has really taught you? I mean, I know we've been talking about like following um what you love and creating, but like is there an experience like kind of like a one moment that taught you something really valuable that you kind of take into your life right now?
Creatively, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I made this short film called Cramming like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And I was doing stand-up at the time. This is pre-Flatbush. I was working as a tutor and I tutored these kids. Basically, one kid I was tutoring said something offhand that inspired the story. I wrote it as a scene and had these two kids that I'd worked with in real life ended up starring in the short.
Okay.
And and it was fun. I just did a true indie style of, I lied my way into a school and snuck onto the subway and had us shoot in these places, whatever. And that brought me so much like enjoyment and joy. And I wrote and directed it. And that was the first thing I felt like, oh, this is kind of like a film that I'm making, and it's not a sketch and it's not a thing for me to be in or whatever. But I just had so much joy with it that I was like, I just want to always make these small things um, in between the bigger projects. There's this
Hmm.
filmmaker I love named Agnes Varda. She actually made the movie that's right here. And
Oh, love it.
yeah, she made Cleo from 5 to 7 and a bunch of other great
Yes.
movies. She would always make these weird little shorts in between her bigger feature films. And some of them would be weird. They'd be like a fire hydrant or something, or like, something about her cat or whatever. And they asked her, they're like, why do you still make these like weird little shorts when you're like an acclaimed feature filmmaker? And she was like, well, I like it. It's creating and I have control of it. And she compared it to doodling, which that's what stuck with me.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, that she's like, and that keeps me from just doing an impression of the last feature that I made or whatever, but I'm staying active and curious and um like just always following, being present with what my interests and where I'm at and everything like that. And I was like, oh, that's a cool way to think about it and approach it. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of what I just want to do. So it's like, okay, yeah, I was tutoring. And so I made something out of that experience with those people, or I was asked to be BUBLE. So I was like, okay, I'm going to make something, being present with where I am and just making something from that and trying to enjoy that.
I love that she said that it's like doodling. Like that's so true. You
Hmm.
know, like keeping busy, feeding the soul, like that's so true. So
Yeah.
with that, like what's the next version of yourself that you're working towards creatively that like you're just excited about?
Um, I guess I want to keep like pushing myself to find new things that are exciting to me. And so I just want to follow that excitement. Like the Buble thing, like I'd never made a doc kind of thing before.
I
And so I
loved
was
it.
just
I
like,
watched it. It was
oh,
great.
thanks. Oh,
It
thanks,
was
Jada.
so funny.
Oh, thank you.
I loved
Thank you.
it.
So I'm like, yeah, so it's like I never made a doc thing before. So I was like, oh, I want to do that. And so hopefully I want to make a feature. So just I want to do that. So I want to keep just trying and creating and stuff. And but yeah, also just trying to find new ways to kind of push myself. Um, but to feel like, I don't know, it feels like you're just continuing something and growing in some way with each thing that you make. So I want to keep, that's why I just want to keep doing that. Even if it, I think sometimes we feel a pressure to like, this thing has to be as big or bigger than the last thing or whatever,
Mhm.
and by some external measurement. But I don't, I want to keep just making stuff and feeling like I'm growing like
Yeah.
creatively from the thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like as creatives, like we so like I feel like at least for myself, we trap ourselves in always thinking that like it has to be this, like you said in our first question, that it has to be this constant uphill, uphill, uphill. And that's just not reality. Things are not uphill all the time. So, like, it's true what you're saying. You just got to keep on creating and growing. And, you know, it might look like this, but I mean, if you're creating and growing really mentally, spiritually, you are going like this, just not it might not just be what the outside perspective sees that as, you know?
1,000%. And yeah, and I think it's easy. I think there are a lot of people where I see them so focused on the external thing where I'm like, man, this is killing you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or you're focused on this thing, but this is pretend. Nobody cares. Like it's a like on an Instagram post or whatever, but nobody gives a shit because it's French fries. Like you're still hungry afterwards. It doesn't
Yeah.
feed you in any real way, you know?
No, it does not feed the soul at all, like at all. 100%. And now to wrap up this amazing interview, who is one person you think has to be on this show next?
Oh, that's a great question. I think uh a couple people that jump out are Maria Bamford. I love she played my mom on Flatbush actually,
Love that.
and she's so uh funny and creative and weird and I think Judd Apatow made a just made a doc about her that's going to be at Sundance, and she's just really really good. And Roy Wood Jr. is another one that jumps out that comes to mind. Um, yeah, there's a bunch of people. I'll give you a list,
Thanks. Thank you, Dan.
of course.